Hello friends, in this video we talk about how the legal trap of Brussels bureaucracy, this European absurdity, has hit Ukrainian women. Let's discuss everything now. Please give a like and subscribe to the channel. Friends, thank you so much to everyone who takes just 2 seconds for these simple actions. I appreciate your support. By the way, to help promote the video, write in the comments right away. Bald guy, why aren't you at the front? Why aren't you at the beach? And so on. Whatever questions you have. Now let's get down to business, friends.
Every time I look at what our European colleagues are building in their offices in Brussels, I get this indescribable feeling of déjà vu.
You see, here's the thing. The legal thinking of the old world is such an excellent mechanism. I've lived in Europe for 11 years myself, and I see how well it works. It's a perfect logical machine that works great on paper. But as soon as this machine comes into contact with real life, the screws start flying in all directions, and the gears loudly grind up the fates of ordinary people. Let's take a look at a recent example, hot off the legal press, August 26th of this year. There was a decision number 2026-1912, how it was written and what came out of it. On July 30th, the Council of the European Union made this decision. It came into force on August 5th. It seems like a good cause. It is necessary to regulate the issues of temporary protection for Ukrainian citizens who entered the EU after July 31st. And it would seem that the goal is clear: to establish the legal status of those who are obliged to perform military duty for their country. Well, let's read the text of the document. Yes, and what do we see there? Well, it seems like everyone knows how to read. The European Commission officially states, this decision, 2026-1912, does not differentiate between men and women when checking military obligations. The requirement to confirm the fulfillment of duty applies to all those liable for military service. But then comes a lovely and such a subtle point, a finely crafted legal caveat. As it is written here, it is possible that citizens of Ukraine who are formally not subject to conscription may have military obligations through a contract or other commitments. The verification process may apply to a broader group of people than just men of conscription age. So you have appreciated the full beauty of this wording. Brussels bureaucrats put officials in countries like Poland, the Czech Republic, and the Netherlands in that position and handed them this document. And the specific rules for admission were pushed onto the national authorities. What does an ordinary migration service official do when they receive a very vague directive from above without specific instructions?
Well, of course, he plays it safe.
And here, in fact, is the trap for those not subject to military service. Prove something that doesn't exist. As a result, we end up with a classic conflict at the local level. And according to Ukrainian and European officials, including a statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, there was also a statement and a publication from the Sudua outlet.
From August 18th, yes, that's fresh, really fresh.
In a number of European Union countries, Ukrainian women, when applying for temporary protection, have started being required to register in the digital application Reserve Plus.
And the court, the center...
Court. It's a court. Miracle in Polish, yes. The Center for Countering Disinformation, of course, was quick to call the news about mandatory Reserve Plus for all 18-year-old girls manipulation. There is no widespread practice yet. But wait, gentlemen. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine itself officially confirms that there are individual cases where such requirements exist. There have been such cases. People even wrote to me from Belgium asking what to do. And now, watch closely, because we have a Google-style tragicomedy. In order to get protection, the girl, that is the woman, has to show Reserve Plus, or certificate stating that you have no military obligations. But as a woman who is not subject to military service, neither a medic nor a pharmacist, without a military specialty, how is she supposed to legally prove that she is not registered? Where can she get this document? Who issues it? Within the European Union itself, they know the answer to this question very well, because it's enough to open the internal working document of the EU Council. There was a document there with complicated figures dated July 1st. It's written there in black and white. Questions remain open about how the Reserve Plus application will work, and how people of all categories will be able to provide evidence. The presidency makes no proposals on this part of the text. That's how it is. In other words, they adopted the legal act, put it into force, but didn't create a mechanism for its implementation.
The Reserve Plus application, at the time the decision came into force, does not function at all for such operations in the way that European institutions expect.
Human rights, you might ask. Protection of refugees? No, haven't heard of it. Well, we have a piece of paper, it's already been issued. So how are the countries reacting, friends? Everyone's doing their own thing. Since Brussels shifted the decision to the level of national governments, Europe instantly turned into a patchwork of bureaucratic arbitrariness. Poland. The Polish authorities had already been carefully reducing the granting of protection for men to almost zero, 550 applications from men of conscription age in the first 5 months of 2026, and only 8 people received protection, which is less than 2%. Now, with the introduction of new rules, women are also coming under scrutiny. Women, Czechia. The Ministry of the Interior of Czechia simply announced, the rules have been in effect since August 5 for all new applicants. Why do you have to prove a negative yourselves? The Netherlands. The Immigration Service posted a statement on their website. If you have military obligations, you must prove that you are exempt from them. You know, it's like that joke about the sheriff and the Indians. It's your problem. So as a result, a clerk in, say, Rotterdam or Wroclaw sees a woman in front of him and, just to be cautious, says, show me your status from the app. And if there's no app and the stamps in the passport aren't enough for the official, though they don't even put stamps in passports anymore, the person ends up, well, in some kind of legal vacuum.
Well, actually, legal experts are already sounding the alarm.
In the academic blog EU Law Analysis, it is directly stated that such practices call into question the basic human rights standards of the European Union. Can the defense needs of a third country legitimately justify disproportionate, gender-based and indiscriminate treatment? And the Council of Europe Commissioner for Human Rights, the well-known Michael O'Flaherty, warned back at the end of June that large-scale restrictions on temporary protection for a specific category of people are unacceptable. And the assessment must be strictly individualized. Also, lawyers in their reports use a remarkable metaphor. It's like trying to break a thermometer, hoping that this will make the patient's fever go down. So friends, what should you do in practice? If you set aside emotions and look at the situation pragmatically, women who are traveling to the European Union after July 31 should take this systemic failure into account. The main document is a passport with a clear stamp indicating legal border crossing.
Any official
Certificates that confirm the legality of your departure, and in case of unlawful demands from migration services,
you should immediately contact the consular offices of Ukraine. Let's hope you can reach them.
Or to local human rights organizations. Well, for example, there's one called Pikayu. Yes, they record these violations and help resolve issues. Well, friends, honestly, I don't think we're facing some kind of global conspiracy, and a malicious one at that. This is just classic systemic negligence of the European institution. Brussels wanted to transfer administrative control over the flow of people, but simply created a legal loophole that now affects ordinary Ukrainian citizens.
And while officials are exchanging correspondence, we used to call this at the Turbotom factory, passing the ball from one to another.
It's ordinary people at the border who have to pay for their negligence because of these circulars. That's how it is, I'll tell you. Of course, all of this is really unpleasant and just adds more stress. But unfortunately, my friends, this is only the beginning, I'll tell you. The real problems are still ahead. By the way, yes, here's some fresh news. Switzerland, following the European Union, has excluded Ukrainians who are subject to conscription at home from the protection program, which has been extended until March 4, 2028. This was reported on the government's website. The new rule will take effect on August 20, well, wonderful, starting today. So those who didn't manage to get to their sunny Switzerland in time, well, you missed your chance, friends. And what else? Yes, basically that's all. Yes, that's basically all. I think there was also some news from Belgium, but let me check. Just a minute. Sorry that today I'm just... Yes, here it is. A migration lawyer confirms that in different EU countries, Ukrainian women are sometimes required to provide Reserve Plus when applying for temporary protection.
Yelizaveta Mazur, if you want, you can look her up.
It was Belgium, Spain, Madrid, Alicante. In Alicante, this even happened just a couple of days ago, but literally after the weekend, they stopped asking for it. According to her information, in Belgium, Ukrainian women were denied protection due to the lack of a reservation. Well, that's how it is. In short, it's a legal conflict, negligence, but as I say, it's the ordinary people who suffer. Friends, thank you very much for your attention. Leave likes and write comments. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones.
Who should I send greetings to? The manicurists, jewelers, chat moderators, computer specialists, turners, millers, and mechanics.
And if I didn't mention someone, write it in the comments. That's all for now. See you next time. Like and comment. Bye.